instruction on labor safety, fire safety, and environmental safety. The Amur Gas and Chemical Complex is a joint venture between Sibur, Russia's petrochemical leader, and Sinopec, China's leading energy and chemical company, for the production of polyethylene and polypropylene brands that are in demand on Russian and global markets. The capacity of the complex will be up to the 2.7 million tons of finished products per year. When planning and carrying out its activities, AGCC pays special attention to the need to ensure the safety of employees, contractors, visitors, and people living in the areas of the company's operations. The main goal of the integrated management system, accident-free production of quality products without harm to human life and health and the environment, with minimum consumption of energy resources in compliance with all applicable legal and other requirements. Remember the general safety requirements which should be observed on the territory of Amur Gas Chemical Complex. There are unified key safety rules at all the sites of AGCC which should be strictly observed both by the company's employees and by the employees of contractors performing work at the territory of AGCC. It is forbidden concealment of information about accidents, fires, incidents, facts of industrial injuries, potentially dangerous accidents, performing works of increased danger without a work permit, as well as the violation of its requirements, disconnection or violation of the integrity of interlocks, emergency automatic protection and safety device on operating equipment without the corresponding written permission, appearance on the territory of the enterprise in a state of alcoholic and drug or other toxic intoxication, smoking on the territory of the enterprise outside the places specially designated for this purpose, or using open fire without special permit, work at height without use of collective protective equipment accepted by the company, and personal protective equipment against falls. Violators of the key safety rules are subject to disciplinary action for company employees up to and including dismissal, for contractors and their employees from penalties to contract termination. Employee safety rules in the office. In hallways, exercise caution when opening doors. Move cautiously within the radius of wet floor signs. On stairs, hold on to handrails, do not use a cell phone, and do not carry bulky or heavy loads. Be sure to remember the following rules and safety factors: the use of safety shoes, organization of meals only in special organized rooms, canteens, no spilling of liquids on the floor, the danger of restricting visibility when moving around, the danger of using headphones in the workplace, the danger of electric shock when using electrical devices and sockets with exposed live parts, the danger from obstructed gangways and escape routes. In the event of a fire or a fire alarm going off, you shall, without using the elevator, leave the building by the evacuation routes indicated in the evacuation plans available on each floor and arrive at the muster point. General safety requirements at the construction sites. Movement of the visitors around the construction site is only allowed if accompanied by a responsible employee of the company. Bringing of laptop computers, photo and video cameras into the construction site, as well as taking photographs and video recordings of the site, shall be agreed upon with the Enterprise Security Service in advance. It is allowed to enter and drive through the territory of the construction site only bypasses through specially equipped checkpoints, KPP. While on the construction site, you shall strictly comply with the uniform system of signal colors, signs, and safety markings. Pedestrian traffic is allowed only on sidewalks and walkways, and if there are none, on the left side of the roadway facing the traffic. All employees of the company shall strictly comply with the requirements of occupational safety, fire safety, and industrial sanitation rules set out in the instructions and the other regulatory and legal documents. Keep equipment, tools, workplaces, tools, and property in a good condition, which will ensure their timely use for their intended purpose and safety for themselves and others. Each employee being on the construction site shall have a valid certificate on labor protection, fire technical minimum, first aid to victims, and certificates corresponding to the qualification of the employee. Risk of occupational exposure. At any construction site, the risk of exposure to production factors cannot be completely eliminated. The main physical hazardous and harmful production factors affecting the company's employees are too high or too low air temperature in the workplace, increased noise at workplace, increased level of vibration, increased or decreased air wetness, increased or decreased air mobility, and increased voltage value in an electrical circuit, the closure of which may get through the human body. Electromagnetic fields, increased levels of static electricity, insufficient illumination of workplace, location of the workplace at a considerable height relative to the ground, dropped objects, slippery surface. Therefore, employees and visitors to the construction site are provided with the protective clothing and all the necessary personal protective equipment, taking into account the specific of the object. Hard-soled shoes, overalls, reflective vest in light green, safety helmet with a chip strap, earmuffs, earplugs, respiratory protection equipment as needed in the perimeters of operation, protective gloves, safety glasses, insurance link, ice shoes in ice conditions. Attention! The use of safety harnesses by visitors in case of walkarounds at the outdoor facilities is mandatory at the request of the site management. The use of personal protective equipment is mandatory when entering the area marked with the appropriate sign. Staying at the construction site without personal protective equipment is allowed only the administrative buildings and the green areas marked on the shame in the safety data sheet. When moving around the construction site, follow the roads indicated on the shame in the safety data sheet. Move around the operating process units. It is strictly prohibited to go behind the fence, behind the market areas, as well as to approach and touch the moving parts of the machines and mechanisms. Performing work with increased danger. Performance of hazardous work requires special training of employees. Workers who have been trained and tested are allowed to perform them. Work may only be performed after an admission to work permit has been issued. All potential hazards and risks associated with the task must be identified before starting hazardous work. If circumstances that threaten the safety of workers are identified, the work must be stopped immediately. It is mandatory to use general and special personal protective equipment. Working at height. Work at height requires specific knowledge and training of workers. Safety harnesses shall be used for all work at the heights unless collective protections are available. In order to safely perform work at height, it is necessary to ensure the proper selection and use of safety harness and to have protective, safety, and signal barriers in the place. Scaffolding erection or structural modification may only be performed by a qualified team. Lifting operations. It is forbidden to stay under the load during the lifting operation. No persons may be in the lifting area marked with the signaling tape and not involved in the lifting operation. All lifting equipments are subject to periodic inspections. It is strictly forbidden to carry out lifting operations in violation of the applicable regulations, since this could endanger the lives of workers. Earthworks. Earthworks include works related to drilling of the boreholes, digging up, grading of soil with depths exceeding 30 cm, excavation and transporting of soil, backfilling and compaction of pile sinking, laying of the new underground utilities, and excavation of old ones. In the process of excavation work, workers may be exposed to the following hazardous and harmful production factors: collapse of soil, sand, rocks, moving equipment and their working attachments, as well as the structures and items moved by them. The location of the workplace close to the boundaries of the height difference of more than 1.8 meters in the absence of protective fences, or when the height of protective fences is less than 1.1 meters. Dangerous voltage level in electric circuits, short circuiting of which can cause flow movements through the human body, objects falling down, increased levels of static electricity, noise level exceeds, insufficient illumination of workplace, increased or decreased air temperature, chemical harmful and hazardous production factors, vehicle usage. The operation of vehicles and compliance with the traffic laws play an important role in workplace safety. Vehicles must be kept in good working order and used for their intended purpose. All vehicle drivers are required to have a valid license of the required category and to take safe driving trainings. Traffic rules must be observed both on and off the site, both by drivers and pedestrians. The movement of vehicles within the construction site shall be allowed at the speed not exceeding the restriction imposed by the signs. Work in a confined space. A separate place during the works occupy the works in confined space, as being in an enclosed space may cause asphyxiation and death. Training and issuing a permit is mandatory before starting work. No one has the right to enter the confined space without prior training. Fire safety. Every employee is obliged to comply with the fire safety requirements both at work sites and in the place of temporary residence. It's strictly forbidden. Smoking in the workplace, in residential and administrative premises. The use of non-standard homemade electric heating devices. Intentional disabling of the fire alarm and fire warning system in the production and administrative premises. There are fire extinguishers in specially allocated and marketplaces. The employees hired by the organization must understand and strictly follow the fire safety rules. Smoke in specially designated places. Knowing the location of fire extinguishers and how to use it, reprimand those who violate the fire safety rules. At the end of the working day, before leaving the workplace, check the electrical appliances and lighting have been switched off. Upon detection of any faults in the mains or electrical equipment, immediately call in specialists to eliminate these faults. Environmental protection. Compliance with the environmental legislation is mandatory both at construction sites and in buildings and structures in operation. Violation of these requirements entails administrative, disciplinary or other liability in accordance with the legislation of Russian Federation. Direct and indirect environmental impacts shall not be allowed. Production and consumption waste is subject to collection, accumulation, transportation, disposal or burial. The conditions and methods of which are safe for the environment and are regulated by the legislation of Russian Federation. Waste shall be accumulated by storing it separately by the type and group. Waste recycling and disposal is a mandatory requirement. Liability for failure to comply with labor protection and fire safety rules. The following types of liability are established for violations of labor legislation and other regulatory legal acts in the area of occupational health and safety: disciplinary, financial, administrative, criminal. The following disciplinary penalties may be imposed on an employee of the company: reprimand, admonition, dismissal on inappropriate grounds. When undergoing induction training, each employee must receive a training passport on an occupational safety. fire safety, and environmental protection where the appropriate mark is put. When undergoing induction training, each employer must receive a training passport on an occupational safety, fire safety, and environmental protection where the appropriate mark is put. The training passport provides for 3 tiers of coupons. The coupons are withdrawn when the violation is detected according to its severity. Violations of labor protection and fire safety are divided into mild, moderate, and severe. Actions of employees in an emergency situation. In case of any injury, even a minor one, or in case of the necessity to help other persons, the accompanying person or supervisor must be immediately informed, and the first aid kits, if any, or the nearest medical facility must be used. In case of an alarm, visitors must follow the instructions and follow the accompanying persons. Immediately leave the area and gather at the muster points. Drivers of vehicles must turn off the engine, leave the key in the ignition, leave the vehicle with the doors open, walk to the muster point with all passengers. While on the territory of the company, always keep the safety memo, which contains a scheme of the territory of the construction site, office, emergency numbers, muster points, and the other operational information that you may need in case of accidents. You can report all facts of violations of occupational health and safety requirements and any other situation that create hazardous conditions by calling the hotline at 8926-016-6189. The call is free, including from cell phones. By email at agcc_hse@cibur.ru. Please be reminded that only strict observance of the safety rules you have just read will guarantee your comfortable and safe staying at the Amur Gas Chemical Complex. Observe the rules